Peace. Barghani, Islam, Salam, Hetepu, Rahubat. Gino Laco Ninani, Chief Noble Bandele El-Amin, back again for another video. Today's video, we will discuss the origins of Medusa. Okay, so this should be interesting. A lot of people have a preconceived notion of who the Medusa is, and so I want to get into that. So we'll be discussing the Moorish origins of Medusa. I know a lot of people think, oh, here we go, everything's Moorish, but I'm going to show you the Moorish origins of Medusa. So before we get into that, I would like you to please check out my books on Amazon. I have an array of different books I have written. I've written at least 7 books, ranging over history, health, religion, and a little bit of politics. So please check out my books on Amazon, and also please check out the latest edition, which is the Holy Ancestral Covenant, which is our religious book for spiritual people. Okay, for those who practice, Santeria or Yoruba or hoodoo or any of these things like that. This is the book for us, and it is the official book of the Temple of New Kemit. Okay, so please check that out. You can find that book on Amazon as well. Okay, and if you would like to donate to the temple, please donate to the temple at Cash App at Moorish New Kemit. All donations are welcome. We definitely would appreciate it. And so with that being said, let us get into this video. Let me get comfortable. All right. So let's get into this video, y'all. We say it's going to be the origins of Medusa, though. A lot of people understand Medusa as a Greek mythology. We're going to show that that's not necessarily the case, okay? So let's look at Medusa. And I'm going to show you it's going to be very simple. Very simple. Now, Medusa, in Greek mythology, okay, also called Gorgo, was one of the 3, and it says monstrous gorgons, generally described as a winged human females with living venomous snakes in place of hair. And we're going to discuss that too. It says, those who gazed in her eyes returned to stone. Now it says, most sources describe her as the daughter of, Phorcys and Cato. Although the author, Hyginus, makes her the daughter of Gorgo or Sato. Okay, so this is the general description, okay? But I wanted to go through the general description. It says that Medusa was beheaded by Perseus and whatnot, okay? Now, this is what we're going to get. This is where we're going to get important. It says, according to Hesiod, okay, she lived and died on an island called Sarpedon, somewhere in Sistine. The 2nd century BC novelist Dionysius puts her somewhere in Libya. And this is what's important. Libya, where Herodotus had said, check, the Berbers originated her myth as part of their religion. Okay, so that's now see. So if you know anything about Libya, Libya is North Africa. Okay, and when we talk about Berbers, Berbers are North Africans, which are associated with the terms of Moor. And so we're going to get more into that. But this is where the originated her myth. So Medusa is a North African story. Okay, so let's look at this because we're going to go into this. I want to go, now I'm going to switch back to you because I want you to, we're going to give it to you from the African-centered Moorish perspective. Okay. The real Medusa, an African goddess who wore locks. They got dreadlocks, but we know that's a derogatory term. But locks, not snakes. Okay. So Medusa, a real woman, was an African serpent goddess. Now, when I think of that, I also think of Ishtar. If you know who Ishtar is from the Sumerian, Babylonian storylines, it reminds me of that. So, serpent goddesses were very prevalent in ancient times, North Africa, and in like what they call the Middle East today or whatever. Okay, but anyway, it says the goddess said to have worn a pouch around her waist containing live snakes that represented wisdom and renewal. Okay. She was said to have carried the original Gorgon mask to frighten off the unskilled. And it was painted red to symbolize the power of menstrual blood, with gruesome, glaring eyes, okay, bared fanged teeth, and like the Hindu goddess Kali, a protruding tongue. Okay, her name derived from Egyptian Ma'at. Okay, so that's another direct link back to Africa. It says, which also gives us the word medicine, mathematics, and Sanskrit medha, which is female wisdom. The Gorgons were the trinity whose names were Medusa. I'm not sure, but I think it's Thano and Urali, or wisdom, strength, and universality. Okay, blacked out with the whitewash. So this is the thing. Medusa was whitewashed by Greek thought. Okay, Greek ideology adopted Medusa and began to turn her into a Hellenistic story. Okay, now it says African cultures were unfamiliar to the peoples known as Europeans, or Greeks. Okay, and many of the Greek mythological creatures originated from African civilizations, and so we know this. Like Isis, we know Isis comes from Aset, which is really an Egyptian or Kemetic deity. Okay, and that says the snake hair assessment, assuming these people, which we call them Greeks, did not know the name of the hairstyle, referred to it as snake hair, later creating classical myth depicting the goddess that actually represented truth and was not a villain into a monster taught in schools as Greek mythology. Now, that is true. I mean, when you think about it, by the time Greek mythology reemerges on the scene in Europe after being, through Christianity, it definitely take on a different perspective. So when they looked at people with hair like that, they often looked at it as probably looked like snakes to them. Okay, so snake hair and dreadlocks. The original real life Medusa supposedly had dreads or locks, And the origin of the locks, I'm going to say, through ancient discoveries, existed before the fictional Medusa character was recreated. She was the snake goddess, which is how Europeans formed their version of a monster with hair of snakes, okay, with a face that would turn any man to stone because of fear, which developed from the Gorgon mask she carried with her. So now, when you look at a lot of our uh, African women, you see that they would wear their hair in locks. Okay, so it was, it's very, even today, it's very typical to see a woman with locks. Okay, so I wanted you to see that the the perception of Medusa had been altered. So she was not a ugly, demon-like deity. She actually was a beautiful woman. Okay, that wore a mask to scare off people who were not in the adept. Okay, so you got to understand that. Now let's look at, because everybody's like, well, where's the Moors? Now we talked about Berbers. We talked about the story coming from the Berbers. Okay, let's look at Libya, because Libya is often looked at as Middle Eastern, but it's North Africa, and we're going to connect the Moors to this story. It says Libya history covers a rich mixed ethnic groups added to the indigenous Berbers people. Okay, the Amazon have been presented throughout the entire history of the country, and for most of its history, Libya has been subjected to various degrees of scholar control. Okay, so Europe, Asia, and Africa. The modern history of independent Libya, as reflected in many revolutions denoted under many moons, began before the Romantic time or Justinian scribing. The history of Libya is 6 distinct perspectives: ancient Libya, Roman, Islamic, Ottoman, Italian, and modern. So it's gone through a lot of different periods. And we're going to look at just look at the beginning. Tens of thousands of years ago, Sahara Desert, which now is roughly 90% of Libya, was lush green vegetation, which is another video. But it has come home to lakes. It was lakes, fires, diverse wildlife, a temperate Mediterranean climate. Okay, 6,000 years ago. 8,000 BCE. Okay. The African ancestors of the Berber people are assumed to have spread into the area in the late Bronze Age. Earliest known name of such tribe are the Garamites, who were based in Jerma, southern Libya. These are sub-Saharan people of Berber origin. Okay. Around 1000 BC, local powers, Saharan from 500 to 500 CE. By the time of contact with the Phoenicians, the first of the Semitic civilizations to arrive in Libya from the east, okay, the Berbers. So then you got the Berbers coming in that were there, and then you have the Phoenicians. And both of these people are related to Moorish ancestry. Okay, so you look at this. So they set up trading posts and all these things in that area. Okay, so I'm not gonna go into all that, but I'm just showing you that Libya is an African. It's an African country. Okay, it's North African, related to the Berbers and the Phoenicians, which were Moors. Okay, uh, when you look at uh, the Berber mythology, okay, the Berber mythology, it sources a documented Berber mythology. A considerable amount of the traditional lore of the matriarchal Berbers is still based on the worship of the ancestors and the dead. Most of the Berbers' ancestral doctrine also form an integral part of the jinn lore. Okay, Western Mark has pointed out that many of the Berber religious and mythological principles were practiced mostly by Berber women under the disguise of tomb worship, where women regularly visit the tombs and perform various rituals in association with ancient ancestors of the dead. So, just a side note, when we talk about, as Noble Drew Ali would say, go back to the creed of our ancient forefathers and foremothers, uh, we often say that we are looking at ancestral worship as one of the oldest. And this kind of goes back to prove that. Okay, it says such receiving sacred prophecies through dreams obtained by sleeping in tombs of holy ancestors. This current practice, according to Herodotus, goes back to ancient Libyan Berbers. May go back even further, since the sacred traditions are indeed carried forward from previous generations. The ancient Libyan took an oath at the graves of persons who were reputed for justice and transparency. Okay, so Berber's folklore and music have all preserved under fragmented elements of Berber belief and mythology. Okay, in addition to that, we also have Egyptian and Greek mythologies as a documented source in which various references to Libyan mythology were represented in generations to come, such as the worship of Amun, Ament, I'm not sure about this one, Bast, Neat, Poseidon, and Shu. So now this is a list of Berber goddesses and gods, which is interesting. Africa, a Berber goddess of fortune and fertility. So, I mean, once again, the connection to Berber and Africa is really important. And it's the first one they speak on. So then you got Amon, Ament, ancestors, which is important. Okay, so we go through all these. I'm not going to go through all these. Bast is another. Bast is very connected to Kemit, the genius of Africa. Okay, so you got the connection. Okay, as we go into the M's, you see Medusa, the serpent goddess. So once again, you see that, and you look at another one, Poseidon. Poseidon is often in Greek literature. It's in Greek mythology, but as we see that Poseidon is also Libyan, and once again you see that the the Greco-Roman world has borrowed from Africa once again. Okay, uh, so as you look through here, you see a variety of different deities that were worshipped or acknowledged in North Africa, which they are saying that may even gone back further than antiquity. It goes back possibly 4,000 BCE, 8,000 BCE. So uh, so the goddess Medusa needs to be recognized and needs to be corrected in our understanding. We know as melanated people, we need to understand that she represents wisdom and is one of our deities and not the ugly goddess or beast that they have made her out to be. Okay, so that was really what I wanted to get on. If you like this, please subscribe, like the video, and hit the notification bell so that you can watch the rest of these videos. And we are wrapping it up. So I appreciate your time, and until next time, Tuta Nana. Peace.